As a woman, how do you know if a guy is love bombing you or he's actually being serious about his pursuit and he might actually see you as a potential future wife or girlfriend? Ultimately, in this entire video, I'm going to explain these step-by-step things that you need to look out for if he's love bombing you, if he's the gentleman type, if he's the douchebag type, and what you need to especially feel to know if this guy is husband material, and not only that, again, wants a long-term relationship with you. So first and foremost, women have a superpower that men do not possess, and that is a woman's intuition. Her gut feeling never lies. So for example, if a guy is love bombing you, but you look at his recent history, and just in the past year or two, he's been with 8 different women, or he's had 3 different girlfriends just in the past year, odds are your gut is probably going, this guy seems like a little bit of a player. And typically that is the case. The odds of him committing to you when his recent history is 8 girls in the last 2 years is incredibly low, because you could just be another number. Now, that being said, if a guy has been in multiple long-term relationships, 4 or 5, lasting a year, 2 years, 3 years, yeah, that might be more difficult because you're like, oh crap, he's had actual emotional connections with exes. It might be more difficult to battle mentally knowing that kind of past. But at the same time, this guy, the guy who's had multiple long-term relationships, is the exact kind of guy that you want today. So history is incredibly important when you're talking to a man. And it's often overlooked because society tends to talk about history and women all of the time, but you got to look at a man's history too. And that's my best number one point for you. So recent history, and if your gut and your intuition tells you he's a player, he's probably love bombing you, even if his actions align with his words and vice versa, and he is spending some money on you, he is a gentleman. At the end of the day, you do have to take his history into consideration. Okay, so if he's not love bombing you, what are some signs that he actually wants to commit to you for the long term and potentially sees you as a future wife? Number 1, I know this sounds very materialistic, but it is the truth. A man who cares about a woman, and a woman who is number 1 on a man's priority list, he's going to spend money on her. I hate to say that. I know it's very materialistic, but let's be real. If a guy is taking you out on very cheap dates, especially by date 6, 7, or 8, he still hasn't taken you to dinner, that's really not a good sign. A man who is taking you seriously is going to spend money on you. He's going to take you out to a steakhouse. He's not going to be afraid to spend $200 on you on date 4 or 5. And if you can't afford that, then I don't think that man is ready for dating. So money is a great indicator when you first start talking to a guy to see how serious he is about you. So money equals how serious he is about you. Number 2, this happens often if a guy really wants you and wants you for the long term, and that is he is going to discuss the future with you. He might say, oh, well, maybe over, say it's October, you guys are talking, you first start talking, you've been on 3 dates. He might say, oh, well, over winter break, if I visit, maybe you can show me your 2 dogs because the ones you're showing me on your phone are very cute. That kind of thing. He's going to kind of flash in little statements of the future or maybe meeting your family at some point. That is absolutely vital, especially if you haven't brought up the future first. He brings it up out of his own free will. That is super key, because typically a guy who is love bombing you, yeah, he might take you out on a few dates. Yeah, he might be very consistent. But if he doesn't bring up the future, or even worse, you bring up the future, and he just kind of deters that statement. He brings up a different subject. You say, oh yeah, maybe in the future we can, go travel Europe or something, some relationship type thing, right? And he deters that statement, or he says, yeah, but let's just focus on right now, or let's just focus on the present. Not a good sign, because a guy who wants you is going to want to talk about the future with you early on. That is so key. And if he doesn't, and he brings up different subjects every single time you talk about the future, that is a huge red flag. Okay, my next point to know if a guy actually wants you as a long-term girlfriend, as a potential future wife, this is absolutely huge, is he's not going to be giddy for physical intimacy. Because if he was giddy for physical intimacy, that would mean love bombing. That would mean short-term fun. A guy who is actually taking you seriously that's going to be the last thing on his mind. So he's really going to want to get to know you, to know if you align with him, and vice versa. He's going to be a lot more discerning than potentially typical guys that you've talked to in the past who just want short-term fun, who are very direct and they try to rush things. The right guy is actually going to care less about physical intimacy with you, because a man knows from the very beginning what kind of light he sees you in, whether that's wifey material, short-term fun, or friend. Literally after the first date, or even before the first date, through social media, you can get so much information. So he's already going to see you in the light of, oh, wifey material. And instantly, when he sees you in that light from the very beginning, the last thing that's going to be on his mind is physical intimacy. And it's going to show in his energy, because I know some of you guys have talked to dudes in the past who just want short-term fun, and you can feel it in their energy. They're kind of pushy. They want physical intimacy. No, this guy is not even going to care. He's not going to ask. He probably won't even kiss you on the first or second date. He is genuinely going to be interested in you, your friends, your family. And more importantly, he's going to want to engage in deep conversations with you. That's what he's going to care about. He's far more worried, because he's already checked that off of the list. Okay, wifey material, let's see if we align. He's going to be far more worried about, okay, could this woman be my wife, of course? Could this woman be, a future mother to my children? Those are the questions he's going to be asking himself internally when he's on these dates with you. So if any way, shape, or form he's giddy for physical intimacy, especially even just after like date 2 or 3, odds are he's love bombing you. He's just putting in a little bit of effort to get his short-term fun and then bounce. And ultimately, the right guy, yeah, like you can make a guy wait for physical intimacy, but at the same time, the right guy is not even going to be pushy for that. So it's going to be so much more natural, that progression to physical intimacy. And I can assure you, a lot of people talk about a slow burn these days. The right guy is going to want a slow burn. Even leading up to that first date, he's going to want to text you and get to know you a little bit more before. And then on the first date, he's going to take things slow. Even the second, even the third, even the fourth date. That brings me to my next point, which is very important. So yes, he's not going to be giddy for physical intimacy, but he will be giddy to lock you down as quickly as possible, because he doesn't want to risk the chance of losing you. He honestly, if you're number 1 on his list, he does not want any man to swoop in and take you away from him. He's going to be that protective and territorial that early on. So I'm just going to go off of personal experience. I've locked down and set exclusivity with women as early as after the second or third date. Actually, not second date, third date. 3 dates. Probably in 2-3 weeks, I knew. So if he really wants you, guys, he's going to lock you down as quickly as possible. He's not going to be giddy for physical intimacy, but he will be giddy to lock you down as fast as possible. And if there's any energy that you're going to feel with this guy when you're talking to him, it's going to be that energy. The energy of territorial, kind of protective already. Yeah, on your end, it might be a little bit like, whoa, like this guy's doing everything perfectly and he's already making territorial protective statements, kind of like what's going on, because he wants you and he doesn't want any other man to get you. And on top of that, at the very earliest, latest by date 2 or 3, he's also going to stop talking to other women, especially after date 3 or 4. He is going to cut off all contact with other women because he also doesn't want to risk the chances, again, of screwing things up with you. All of these things are so important. But ultimately, yes, a guy can love bomb you. Yes, all of his actions can be perfect, and then by month 3, after short-term fun, he bounces. Yes, that is true, and that can be very deceiving. That's why my best advice is look at his recent history and trust that gut and that intuition. But now you also know, okay, these are the exact things that he's going to do, not just, spend money on me. If, especially in his energy, remember when I said giddy to lock you down, not giddy for physical intimacy, that's when you know, okay, he sees me in that wifey material light. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment down below what topic you want me to cover next. I really want to blow this thing up. We're going to blow this thing up together. We're going to bring back balance to this abysmal, atrocious dating culture that Gen Z lives in. The divorce rate is 50, 60% of married couples are unhappy. We need to work on this together. I can't be in this alone, and I know you guys are here to help. Please like and subscribe and comment down below what topic you want me to cover next.